Karena harapan saya, keinginan saya sebenarnya ini ada di Indonesia. Tapi kenyataannya ini terjadi di Malaysia. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Halo teman-teman semua di sana, berjumpa lagi hari ini masih bersama saya. Apa kabar Anda? Tentunya seperti biasa, saya selalu menyapa dan mendoakan semoga kita dalam keadaan sehat walafiat di hari yang hujan-hujan dari pagi hingga saat ini yang tidak berhenti, guys. Semoga di sana juga dalam keadaan aman-aman saja, ya, jaga kesehatan dan aktivitasnya semoga diberikan kelancaran. Amin, amin, ya robbal alamin. Guys, ini selalu saya gali-gali, selalu saya cari tahu, saya korek-korek informasi. Ternyata di 2025 ini semakin banyak orang kaya yang ada di Malaysia, terutama itu di Kuala Lumpur dan juga sekitarnya. Saya heran ini guys, di 2025 Malaysia kok diam-diam itu semakin menyala. Bahwa sekarang hingga hampir bulan Maret itu semakin banyak orang-orang kaya yang berada di sana. Mengapa bisa demikian? Dan dari mana buktinya? Oke. Di sini kita akan saksikan video itu karena ini tentunya membuat kita sangat terkejut. Tanpa banyak basa-basi, kita langsung mereaksi. Ini videonya.
Just me, but have you recently noticed a lot more foreigners around KL city centers?
So many foreigners. What are they doing here?
And some of them don't even look like tourists. They look like they work here. I mean, when I went Sambal Velocity last week, there's just so many of them. So what exactly are they doing here? Why did they choose Malaysia? And if this trend keeps up, what does this mean for us, the real Malaysians? This video is sponsored by Wise, but more about them later. Look at this graph here. This shows the number of people from different countries participating in a program to buy a house here in Malaysia called MM2H. It is short for Malaysia My Second Home program and was introduced back in 2002 to attract foreigners to make Malaysia their second or even holiday home. Ever since then, until 2018, it has brought in more than 40 billion ringgit in revenue, and that is equally enough to help the government to cover the surge in subsidy bills, aka the cheap petrol you and I are pumping every day. Think of this MM2H as a special visa for people who seek to live in Malaysia, maybe to retire, set up a business, send their kids to school, or even just because of the weather or the food here. Most of them are rich enough to do it, by the way. But that said, this MM2H still has a time limit to it. It's not a forever pass. And depending on their chosen categories, they can only stay up to 20 years without renewing the visa. Speaking of that, the latest updates in June 2024 introduced 3-tier categories: the silver, gold, and platinum for MM2H applicants, with each category having different requirements, such as a minimum fixed deposit ranging from 150,000 to $1 million. That's a lot. And they must purchase a property valued minimum at 600,000 ringgit up to 2 million ringgit. If you're curious to know more, I'll leave the link to this website down below for you to check out further. On top of the 3 tiers categories, there are also special categories. First is a famous talk in the town these days, the Johor-Singapore Special Economic Zones. With this special economic zone, the fixed deposit amount is even lower at only 65,000 US dollars. And of course, buying a property from the developer. So this move might just revive the dead forest city in Johor. And most importantly, the major advantage of the MM2H SEZ is tax exemption on offshore income. This means people with income sources outside of Malaysia will not be taxed on any earnings brought into the country. It's literally heaven for every digital nomad. And for the high net worth individuals looking to work in the economic zone, the perks are just as attractive, with a personal tax rate as low as 15% compared to the current high rate of up to 30% that Malaysian residents are paying. As for companies setting up within these zones, they also enjoy an incredible 0% tax rate. I don't know about you, but to me, this sounds like a deal too good to pass up. By the way, if you're also interested in learning more about the Johor-Singapore Special Economic Zones, I've made a full video about it. Check it out over here. And in case you ask, East Malaysia, Sabah and Sarawak also has an MM2H program, with Sarawak's SMM2H being more affordable and flexible. Quick pause, if you're thinking about moving to Malaysia, or if you're a Malaysian looking to travel to another country, do you find it hard to manage your money across borders? How much cash do I need to exchange before I leave? I need to queue 1 hour at mid-value to exchange cash. Oh my god, why the exchange rate so expensive? What are these exchange fees? If you are faced with these issues, no worries. Wise is here to save the day. Traveling stuff. Have you guys ever wondered why foreigners choose Malaysia out of so many other countries? Like, are we that good? Well, let's start with the easy and obvious one. We are free from natural disasters, and our tropical weather with no seasons also makes people feel safe since they don't have to go through harsh winters, extreme summers, or unpredictable weather changes. On top of that, Malaysia is generally safe, especially in affluent cities like Kuala Lumpur and Penang. Also, we have language advantages as well. Most of us here know at least 2 languages, English and Bahasa Malaysia, and we also have Mandarin, Tamil, Cantonese, and so many more, and that immediately opens up a world of opportunity for us. And thanks to our diverse mix of Malay, Chinese, Indian, and other communities, we are also naturally more open-minded and welcoming to people of different backgrounds. I mean, you tell me how many other countries can cater to such a diverse range of nationalities, especially the accommodation of Muslim communities with halal food available almost anywhere. And it doesn't stop there. Just a street away, you will likely find other cuisines to satisfy any craving. You name it, we have it. But I know some of you might argue, Singapore also has everything you just mentioned what? Well, while I personally think our food is better, don't forget, to foreigners, our cost of living is definitely way cheaper. For example, James from China is deciding between migrating to Singapore or Malaysia. Comparing the price of, say, chicken rice, it costs 8 ringgit here in Malaysia, which is equivalent to around 13 Chinese yuan. And even if the chicken rice only costs 4 Sing dollar, half the price in Singapore, it still works out to about 21.5 Chinese yuan for James. See the difference over here? And similarly, our property prices here are also much cheaper compared to Singapore. Plus, foreigners in Malaysia can even buy a freehold property. And on top of that, there are also plenty of landed housing options available all across the country. In Singapore though, well, they can, but we all know it's not accessible as here. And do you also know that more Singaporeans are choosing to come to Malaysia? In fact, there's been a growing trend of Singaporeans sending their kids to international schools over here. Why? Isn't Singapore's education better? Well, other than the cost factor, I guess it's highly likely because of how stressful education is over there. So the chill, laid-back lifestyle here becomes more appealing to some of them. Also, Malaysia is closer to nature, not like Singapore where it's mostly buildings everywhere. And with the SEZ or SFZ MM2H programs mentioned earlier, they can now stay in Malaysia for a longer period and maybe even use their rental income from Singapore to comfortably cover the cheap living expenses over here. Easy, right? And in case you think I'm done, nope. Malaysia is also quite famous for our healthcare tourism as well. In first half of 2024 alone, our healthcare travelers revenue has recorded an 18% increase. It's also thanks to the affordable healthcare here as well. You see, IVF treatments in Malaysia, basically to get pregnant, cost approximately $4,000, whereas in the US, they can exceed $12,000 easily. So here comes the big question. With more foreigners coming into Malaysia, what does it mean to you? Well, if a businessman chooses Malaysia as an investment destination, it can significantly improve the country's economy. It helps train more Malaysians, create job opportunities, and even encourage skill development. Even if they don't own a business here, their spending also helps stimulate our economy. This will, in turn, strengthen the Malaysian ringgit, as they will be converting more of their home currency into ringgit to spend or invest over here. Also, this will boost tourism in Malaysia and act as a catalyst for the property market, helping to revive dead townships. All of this ultimately contributes to our economy, and if managed well, this also means a better tomorrow for all of us Malaysians. A big win for everyone. But wait a minute. Remember earlier when I mentioned that Platinum MM2H holders can work in Malaysia? Well, this might not be entirely good news for all of us. That's because those who can come in are already in the high income bracket, most of them, meaning they likely have strong experience and education. we Malaysians would need to compete with them for higher value or skilled jobs, which unfortunately are already short in supply over here. While for those coming here to do business, especially Chinese nationals that are known for their expertise in low-cost business models, Malaysian brands might face even tougher competition. I mean, just look at the rise of Mishui and Chaji. Do you still remember our local brand Tea Life? And now, what will happen to Zeus Coffee with Luckin Coffee entering the market? Some might also argue that this could drive up property prices and contribute to inflation. Now, what do you think? Let us know in the comments down below. Until then, don't forget to check out.
Oke, sudah kita dengar keterangan ya guys ya dari video ini. Ya jujur ya, saya inginkan hal ini berlaku di Indonesia. Saya mau hal ini terjadi di Indonesia. Tapi kenyataannya malah sudah ada di Malaysia. Malah sudah dilakukan di Malaysia. Hal yang saya mau itu ada di Indonesia, tapi malah berlaku di Malaysia. Kita lihat guys, bahwa banyak sekali di tahun 2025 ini makin banyak, makin ramai orang-orang kaya yang berkumpul di Malaysia. Dalam program apa, kita tidak membahas tentang pendatang asing tanpa izin nih guys ya, tapi kita membahas orang-orang kaya yang berniat masuk Malaysia dan yang sudah masuk di Malaysia, yang tentu di dalam dorongan atau dukungan yang telah dicapai, yang telah dilakukan oleh kerajaan Malaysia, yaitu adalah program MM2H. Nah ini menarik minat banyak orang, terutama orang-orang kaya dari berbagai negara. Dari Indonesia ada, dari Brunei, Thailand, Filipina. Jadi orang-orang kaya, ya bukan hanya di ASEAN ini guys, dari negara ASEAN saja, namun berbagai negara dari Amerika, Perancis yang mungkin yang di Eropa sana penuh sesak, ya, penuh keletihan dengan pekerjaan, dengan aktivitas yang begitu sangat padat di sana, dan juga mata uang yang sangat tinggi. Maka mereka beralih ke rumah kedua yang telah dijalankan, program ini yang telah dilakukan oleh kerajaan Malaysia, MM2H. Dan ini membuat orang tidak frustasi lagi, terutama orang-orang kaya, yang benar-benar dapat menikmati kehidupannya. Orang yang kehidupan yang sudah berumur lebih senja, orang yang banyak berusaha namun penuh tekanan, ya, penuh beban, dan mereka beralih untuk pindah ke Malaysia beramai-ramai. Ketika semua orang kaya masuk ke Malaysia, termasuk Singapura ya guys. Singapura di sini juga ternyata banyak yang tinggal di Malaysia dengan program yang telah dibuat oleh pihak kerajaan. Semakin banyak, semakin mengumpulkan semua orang-orang kaya ke Malaysia. Tentu dampak positifnya apa? Bahwa semakin kaya, semakin banyak orang kaya di satu negara, tentu gaya hidup akan semakin tinggi, ya. Dan semuanya akan dapat terkendali dengan sangat baik. Karena apa? Karena sudah berlakunya di sana satu fakta yang mana seperti kejadian dalam negara Singapura. Kita lihat bagaimana banyaknya orang kaya di sana, orang cerdas di sana, apa yang terjadi, perubahan Singapura dalam beberapa puluh tahun terakhir, hingga sampai saat ini kita lihat Singapura bagaimana. Super maju. Dan hal itulah yang akan terjadi kepada Malaysia jika semakin banyaknya orang-orang cerdas, orang-orang pintar, orang-orang berkuasa itu berkumpul di Malaysia. Kalau perlu dia menciptakan lapangan pekerjaan, dia menciptakan banyak perusahaan di Malaysia, bisnis dan apapun itu, tentu akan lebih cepat dalam proses mengejar pencapaian atau target selama ini. Itulah yang saya katakan guys. Itulah yang saya bicarakan. Mengapa? Karena harapan saya, keinginan saya sebenarnya ini ada di Indonesia. Tapi kenyataannya ini terjadi di Malaysia. Tapi di Indonesia apakah tidak ada? Ada juga. Ada guys. Ada program seperti ini, ya. Seperti Golden Visa dan juga persyaratan bagi investor asing yang masuk ke Indonesia itu ada diberikan berbagai kemudahan bagi mereka saat berada di Indonesia. Ada. Tapi kalau di Malaysia ini kok terkesannya agak sedikit berbeda ya. Lain. Ada ya. Ada di Indonesia ada. Tapi program di Malaysia ini memang lebih terbukti mengumpulkan banyak orang. Orang Singapura ini guys. Orang Singapura di tahun 2025 ini sudah jelas banyak yang tinggal di Malaysia termasuk di Johor Baru, ya, yang punya yang invest di negara sendiri Singapura tapi tinggalnya di Johor Baru, itu banyak, ada. Dan dia katakan di sini banyak orang Singapura yang tinggal di Malaysia. Itu apa? Ternyata Malaysia berhasil menarik minat semua orang-orang kaya untuk datang ke negaranya. Cuman permasalahannya ya seperti pati ya. Saya nggak membahas pati dari negara manapun guys, karena itu sangat sensitif ya. Tapi memang itu hal yang tidak boleh dilarang oleh pihak kerajaan. Nah, hal yang memang dianjurkan adalah program ini. Kita boleh, apalagi tadi saya lihat ada berbagai apa namanya, berbagai jenis ya, berbagai jenis maksudnya itu guys ya. Uh, ada yang platinum, ada yang silver ya, dengan harga yang berbeda-beda. Dan saya nggak tahu guys, silakan Anda komen aja, itu satu orang kah atau satu keluarga kah atau maksimal 4 orang kah, itu bagaimana konsepnya guys? Jika ingin mengikuti program tersebut, Anda komen aja di bawah ya guys ya, karena saya selalu ingin mengetahui dan ingin melihat komentar-komentar yang positif dari Anda semua. Baik, demikian tadi video aku. Semoga video ini bermanfaat bagi kita semua dan aku mohon jadi mohon maaf jika ada kesalahan kata, kesalahan sikap pada Anda semua mohon dimaafkan, dan aku akhiri. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.